Okay, so today we got a 2010 Avenger, and we are going to be replacing the front brake pads. I've already jacked the vehicle up, broke loose the lugs, also put it in a support jack stand. You always want to be safe. Okay, now we have the wheel removed. What we have to do here, we have to remove the two bolts for the caliper, and then we're gonna have to close the caliper, the piston on the caliper, and then we'll replace the pads. Once I get this all took it apart here, I'll be right back to walk you through some more. So on this particular vehicle, the caliper bolts are 9/16, and once again, there's only two. Just need to back them out, and then we'll close the piston. Okay, so these pads are shot. Get in here where you can see better. There's literally not even 1/8 of an inch of pad left on these shoes. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna put this in here like so, and we're gonna use a C-clamp to go across here and push the piston back in, put our new pads back on, and then put the caliper back on, and we're good to go. So as you can see, close the piston. Now when you do this, you shouldn't have to use a lot of force. It should just slowly and easily close. Not much torque is needed to close this piston. If you have a hard time trying to close the piston, it's a good chance your caliper may be bad. But let me go ahead and get these pads on here and put this caliper back on. Just to show you the difference between the pad of a new one and the one I just pulled off the car. There was pretty much no pad left, and at this rate, this car probably would have ended up welding the pad straight to the rotor, which would not have been a good scenario. That's why you don't want your brakes to squeal or make noise. You don't know the true damage of the shoe until you take them off. Okay, so now here I have both shoes back in place, and the only thing I have to do now is set the caliper in, put the two bolts back in, and tighten everything up. Okay, so now we have the caliper back on, the brake pads are in. I'm gonna straighten the wheel back up, and when you first get into the car, the pedal might need a few pumps just to pump the pressure back up into the caliper, because we pushed that brake fluid back through the line and up into the system. We did not take any brake lines loose, so we shouldn't have to bleed the brakes after doing this. We only replaced the pads. Okay, so we got the wheel back on. So now I need to remove the jack stand from the front, let the car down. I'm gonna turn the car around, and then we're gonna start on the other side and get the other side done. Okay, now we're back in the car. I'm gonna pump the brake a few times just to build some pressure back up to that caliper. And I'm gonna turn the car around to where I can get to the other side. Okay, here we have the lug nuts broke loose, car jacked up. Put our jack stand in for safety. Now I'm gonna remove this wheel. And when I do, I'm gonna cut it all the way this way to the left. I'm sorry, to the right, so I can get to the caliper bolts. Okay, so I got the wheel off, and I turned the steering wheel all the way this way so it's easier to get to the caliper bolts. I already got them broke loose. I'm about to take them off. Same ordeal what we already did. Take the caliper off, close the piston, put the new pads on, set the caliper back in, and then we pump the brake a few times, build the pressure back up, and we're good to go. Okay, so the pads on this side weren't nearly as bad as the pads on the other side, which leans towards a possible bad caliper on that side over there. So by the time I get ready to change the brakes again, I'm probably going to take a look at it and maybe replace it on the next go around, unless I start having some issues before then. But there's a good chance that caliper on that side's no good. Okay, so we got the caliper back on, new brake pads are back in. All I have to do is straighten the wheel back out, put the wheel back on, remove the safety jack stand from the front there, let the jack down, and we're done. Pump the brakes a couple times, and that'll be it. So Changing brake pads is a pretty simple process. It's not difficult at all. And for the most part, you can almost do it with the cheapest toolkit possible. This is not a bad starter kit if you don't have a toolkit. I picked it up from Walmart for about 40 bucks. Maybe it was 39 or 44, somewhere in there. It's a handy little toolkit. I use it for most of the stuff I do. It's got all your major sizes, but if you get into situations where you got to use a lot of torque to break loose a nut, a bolt, it's not going to be, this isn't going to be ideal. You can see I got my breaker bar there with a hardened socket on it. But for the brake job, pretty much all you needed was the one 9/16 socket, C-clamp, a 18 socket for your wheel lugs, and a breaker bar, flathead screwdriver. It's pretty simple to change your brake pads. But thanks for viewing, guys, and have a great day until next time.